And Spoop.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome all.
Hey.
Jakin is not here.
Jakin is a late, stupid idiot, but the show is starting. I hope everybody has had an excellent week. Oh, there he is, late as usual.
As usual.
Ladies and
From a
gents, here
remote
I am
location.
There we go. He's back.
on Spoop
Just
Island.
a couple seconds late on Spoop Island.
Was that only a couple
Just
seconds?
came
I
off.
tried to time myself.
Yeah, you're
Too bad.
a little late. The Spoop Lita Express.
Oh yeah. Epstein himself or Ghislaine recommended me this painting.
That's yes. But yeah, hope everybody had a good week. It is what's today? Wednesday? Sunday?
Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday. Every day feels the same, so I never really know what day it is. But we're here. We don't have too much, but we do. I think we're gonna have some good discussion on what we have. Pablo, what's good? Welcome. We
Pablo, one of our most faithful
Pablo.
viewers, dude. We love you very much.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think the topics we only have like 4 or 5 things in our sheets. People don't know we use like a sheets to Google Sheets to collect all of our
Yeah,
stuff.
keep everything in order. Super
But
convenient.
I think we only have a couple things. Yeah, it is convenient. We made a good use of it.
Yeah, I think so.
But there's a lot to talk about just between the couple things we do have.
Do we want to hop right in? Top of the spoop?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm gonna open it with just kind of like just to touch on something because by next show we for sure will have a segment on this because I think it's something. It's hard because I can't think immediately right now. 'Cause I'm a little spooked, but I don't think we've outright done a segment on like drug decriminalization. We've definitely talked about it. But this guy, Dr. Carl Hart, just wrote a book, and he's a professor at Columbia University, and he's a personal advocate for heroin use as a professor, and he was also a researcher. His job for the government was essentially to be the guy that's like, okay, let's research what the harmful effects of all these different drugs are on the brain. And what he found was more often than not, there's actually more positive effects than negative effects for every drug. So,
What?
and yeah, and the book, I mean, it's stuff that I think all of us are for sure knowledgeable about. And that's why I'll save this for a future date. But like he demystifies like all kinds of stuff. Like, he talks about Portugal as a specific example and how their decriminalization of all drugs has led to a drop in arrest for crimes, obviously, and then also has led to a general drop in crime. It's led to less people are using heroin than they did
Less people
before
are
the
getting
decriminalization.
AIDS. Way less people
Less people are
getting
getting AIDS. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think
that's one of the most
for sure
interesting
next
statistics.
show.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll definitely have a lot of I guess more of a collective thought on that in the next episode. But yeah, that's a very interesting topic. The Portugal subject is really interesting because
Yeah,
just how many effects it has that aren't necessarily like obvious or so huge.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why we should next time spend time on it because if we use like Portugal as a specific example, you're right. There's so many things it affects other than just like, hey, less people will be arrested for possession of this drug. It's like, hey, people will literally stop using this drug as much, and as Carl Hart points out, like their relationship to the drug will change. Like opium doesn't have to be a scourge in our society. We don't have to have an opioid crisis. We can have people that have healthy relationships to opioids and use them correctly and have like a healthy adult relationship to them. But because of I think, yeah, as Ian rightly pointed out, like the profit motive, I
mean,
think that's not possible.
and yeah, like and another thing, like yeah, there's definitely a thing as like a functioning heroin addict, a functioning cocaine, like or not even addict, but
Absolutely.
like a functioning heroin user. Like you can,
Well, even him, he's a father and he's a professor at Columbia, and he uses heroin.
yeah, and like people fucking smoke weed all the time and do there's this weird stigma around like if you do drugs and work, you're this lazy bum.
Right. Right, that somehow you can't be an adult about it and separate the two things even.
Exactly. You can't treat it as like your coffee. There's
Right. And he
coffee.
talks about that too, like go ahead. No,
Oh,
yeah,
I
you're
was gonna
right.
say,
Like coffee is it's just a thing
caffeine,
we use.
caffeine, tobacco, alcohol just has transcended this point where we consider them drugs. We just consider them just things
Yes.
people use, and we have to extend that to other drugs. Absolutely. Or if we're gonna be militant about being anti-drug, we have to be against all drugs, including caffeine, tobacco, and alcohol, which I obviously am against, but you have to at least be consistent in your ideology. Don't faint away
Shows
if you kind of like
hypocrisy.
it. Exactly. And yeah, go ahead and say what you want to say. I gotta grab my bong real quick.
I was gonna say, didn't we have like a
Go ahead, Michael.
discussion about this? I don't know how many podcasts ago, but we had a discussion about like
Part of the
drug
problem.
use and how we can make it legally distributed and regulated to the point where like it doesn't have or like to the point where they're safer using these drugs if they're not illegally obtained in a way,
Right.
such as like
Because they know
let's
what
just
they're
use-
getting.
yeah,
Exactly.
especially, and we can use marijuana as an example where like there's these dispensaries and they're all, you know what you're getting. You know that there's nothing wrong with them and that you're not going to be given something that wasn't labeled. But it just makes it in a healthier manner. I just don't know how many podcasts ago we talked about this, but I know we talked something like similar to that.
And something
Yeah,
else I'll
Sure.
say, since you just brought up dispensaries, somebody watching this eventually may bring up the point of, let's say, like the whole fake cart thing that happened, and that when you look at it is an effect of lack of federal decriminalization legalization. The fact that there isn't all around the country legal and decriminalized market for safe marijuana. You have pockets our as well as our border brothers Mexico. The fact that our drug policies have fucked up Mexico so bad. That's an effect. And we have to work with Mexico to fix the drug problem that we caused as the United States of America. I'm not trying to blame Mexico for putting drugs in the United States. I'm not a fucking loser.
Blaming us, if anything,
Yeah,
the
exactly. Yeah.
US.
The
Yeah.
United States is directly responsible for everything that's happening with drugs right now. The drug war is the issue.
Yeah,
No,
it's the byproduct of our shitty drug policy, honestly.
yeah,
I had a conversation with somebody saying like if there's anyone to blame, it's us. We're actually like the users. We're the druggies. It's not Mexico or
They're just a
anybody like that.
supplier.
They're just supplying
Right.
us. If
Because
if
it's
you really-
illegal.
yeah, the person I was talking to said that like if you think about it, if we just stopped wanting this type of stuff, then they would get no business in a way. I'm sure they'd find other ways, but I mean, I'm just kind of riffing off of what he said because I thought it was like kind of interesting it was like an interesting topic that like you could bring up for like a discussion.
Yes. I think
Yeah.
the pod I might be wrong, but the pod you were referring to where we brought this up, I think we brought it up multiple times. But I think, and it relates to how Ian was talking about how really the drug trade exists in Mexico because of our policy.
and another
I-
before not to cut you off,
Hey,
but
go ahead.
the CIA, our intelligence agencies,
Absolutely.
they're a huge part of
Well,
that.
that's how I was bringing it up. Like in Colombia, I think this is when we were talking about it with Colombia. Juan Guaido, the
Yes,
so-called interim president, he was associating with straight up cartels,
that
taking
have
pictures with them
ties to the CIA.
to the CIA. Absolutely. Well, yeah, as we know, like cocaine would not have gotten to the U.S. if it wasn't for the CIA and their meddling in Latin America.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny actually. The movie Snowfall came on in the break room at work,
Hmm.
and I've never watched it.
no one.
I've never watched it, but my friend that works with me, he was asking me if I've seen this before. I said no, and he was explaining the movie, and the movie is basically about the how crack got into LA and shit. And I believe what's his name? Something Singleton is the director, and he did Poetic Justice, Boys in the Hood. something single.
Okay, I've seen Boys in the Hood.
Snowfall movie. Sorry, hold on.
What's it
Kinda-
about?
How much of it did you see? Was it good?
It's about how crack got into LA.
Oh,
I didn't. I barely got to
Okay.
see like a couple of minutes of it because it came on towards the tail end of my break.
there was another drug movie that I really liked. It was called The Mule.
John.
I
I haven't seen that one
pretty sure-
either.
You
John-
really never? I thought you would have heard that one. Oh, okay.
Oh,
No,
another movie
I've
that.
seen a lot. Yeah,
Have you seen
The
Four
Mule?
Brothers?
I can't think of a
Really?
drug movie right now. Four Brothers. I've seen Four Brothers.
Four Brothers is fucking good movie.
I've seen Brothers too. I think that's a movie.
Or it's not a
maybe
movie.
Brothers in Arms.
It's not a movie. It's a show.
It's a show. Yeah.
Yeah,
Four Brothers
but
is a show.
Basically, it's how cocaine got or crack got into LA into like black communities,
Yeah.
and the United States government's role in that, like the CIA, the FBI. So it's very interesting. From just how he described it, I'm definitely gonna probably check that out. Maybe we can watch it.
Right. To bring it like back to the Carl Hart thing, so we can move to the next topic here. Yeah, like if in our next piece, like we need to talk about these things because decriminalization, legalization, changing how we perceive and talk about these drugs will end some of our horrific foreign policy too. Whether it's like one of the biggest scourge of the 80s until now is pushing crack into the black communities, of course. And that was done deliberately by the CIA. And if drugs were decriminalized, like we could totally change not only the attitude to crack, because crack is it's literally cocaine. There's no difference between it.
It's the
There's
proletariat.
only literally social stigma on it. Yeah. The only reason it's called crack, I mean, there is a difference in how you make it. It's a freebase baking soda bullshit, but
And you mix the rock, man.
yeah, but they're like chemically no different. Versus people that do crack versus people that do cocaine, like there's
Well,
a
yeah,
totally different
like,
stigma between them.
What do you think of who do you think of when you does cocaine? You think of like Beverly Hills
You
white
think of
girl?
rich white people,
Yeah, exactly. And when you think of crack, you think of fucking
poor
Chappelle,
black people.
Chappelle show. You know?
Yes. And that they've done that on purpose, and that changes how we think about these drugs. And I forget what the term is. I remember Hamilton Morris, the
Pharmacopoeia.
Hamilton's pharmacopoeia guy. Yeah, he has a term where it's like our actual perceptions of these drugs change how they affect us. If you have preconceived notions of what heroin's going to do to you before you do heroin, you're more likely to feel those effects.
Just like with acid,
Like
if
the
you want to put
placebo
it like a way
effect.
more
Of course.
relatable thing, if you go in thinking you're gonna have a bad experience with acid because you've never done it, you're more likely
Right.
to have a bad experience.
If you think weed makes you paranoid, weed's
gonna-
going to make you fucking paranoid.
And of course, and
yes.
of course, due to genetics, it's possible that no matter what, you'll get paranoia. But then you just realize that the drug's not for you, and you move on. That shouldn't stop you from allowing other people to enjoy their lives.
Right. That's how adults handle shit. And I think that's
And you can relate this.
Dr. Carl Hart's point.
And you can relate this to abortion as well. Because you say
Yeah,
like
it's just-
say you personally don't believe in abortion, that shouldn't stop other people from getting it, is what I was trying to say. I said
Right. It's an inevitable, so we should make it as safe as possible.
exactly.
Yeah. Let's move from this one. I thought we'll definitely have a piece in the next show.
Yes.
This next thing is super interesting though, because I fucking hate the man in question.
So really funny stuff got brought to my attention today from Jordan Sherrington. This is obviously a very regular occurrence with Andrew Cuomo, which is the person we're talking about. This happens what feels like every other fucking week. Andrew Cuomo is getting fucking Me Too'd. So we have this headline here, and then I'll just go into the article very briefly. Covering up old people, harassing your employees. What more is needed for corporate media to call for Governor Cuomo to resign? And so let's just jump into the top of the article here. I'm just gonna read like a little bit of it and then we can talk about it. A former aide to New York Governor Andrew M. Cuomo made detailed allegations Wednesday that the politician sexually harassed her, describing an unwanted kiss in Cuomo's office and a pattern of behavior that she says left her nauseous going to work. Lindsey Boylan, who eventually resigned from the Democratic governor's team, described a deep discomfort with Cuomo starting in 2016 when she says her boss told her the governor had a crush on her. Boylan said in an online post that Cuomo would go out of his way to touch me on my lower back, arms, and legs. And she shared images of text messages and emails that supported her story, an expansion on public allegations that Cuomo denied last year. He's a sexist pig and you should avoid being alone with him, Boylan's mother texted her at one point about Cuomo, according to the photos of the exchange. Boylan's account Wednesday came as Cuomo and his administration had are already embroiled in scandal, and under new fire from both Republicans and Democrats for withholding data on coronavirus deaths in states' nursing homes. The blowback has increasingly focused on Cuomo himself, the third-term governor who drew out allocates and wide recognition early on for his pandemic response, is besieged with accusations of behind-the-scenes bullying. And so, yeah, like this is not some random occurrence. This, like, if you go into Cuomo's history, this is Cuomo. He's just some weird pervy fucking Italian dude, some fucking Fredo, you know. And yeah, like, and he's pure scum. Obviously, he has so much blood on his hands from his mismanagement of COVID-19 in New York City, or New York State, or
Yes.
New York. And this allegation, obviously we know no justice is gonna come. He's not gonna face anything for this, and it's disgusting. But it's just the reality. Fucking Trump had how many allegations? Biden has how many fucking allegations? Nobody's ever gonna be brought to justice for what they did to these girls or these women. And I think the scariest part about all of this is hapless fucking piece of shit liberals online reaction to this, because you saw with Joe Biden's Tara Reid case during the during like the primaries, just how viscerally fucking attacked she was, doxxed, forced to move multiple times. She still is, bouncing between homes because people keep doxing her and sending her death threats, saying that they're coming for her.
But it's believe women, right?
Exactly, and these are the same liberals who, after attacking her viciously, will tweet out, "I stand with her, believe women, fucking girl boss," and yeah, it's insanity, and it's honestly, I'm very solidarity with Lindsey Boylan, and
Yes.
it's very scary what could happen in the coming future.
It's
for her.
believe women until you come out against someone who I like.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's the hypocritical part. Like, we know the hapless libs, as you called it, like, hammer Trump because, rightfully so, Trump is a fucking pig and has a shit ton of sexual assault allegations. But as soon as it's their guy, Cuomo or Biden, like, suddenly sexual assault is like, no, it's no longer believe women. We have to question women's. What were you wearing? Like,
Yeah.
they fall into the same bullshit.
How
traps.
are you asking for it?
Yeah, exactly. They're no different.
And the reality of the situation is, like, those people never were on the side of women ever at any point. They just played into the facade and did it because it was like a trendy thing to do.
Absolutely.
And I guess just to have this on VOD, since this is on topic, like the Me Too movement and the whole idea of believing women it isn't always believe women, like, right then there, done deal. But what it means is don't instinctively disbelieve or think that they're lying or have malintent. It's
Especially with these people in positions of power like Cuomo
exactly,
and Trump.
and it's you have to understand the situation. It's not just it's not just, oh, she said this, it's true, boom. It's Don't instinctively be like, oh, she's lying, or oh, she's just doing this for fucking clout, or she's doing this for money, or to ruin this guy's life because she's jealous or something. Like, no, like, these are very serious things. We have to treat them very seriously, and it's way more likely that they're right in the situation. False allegations that are like the lowest fucking, such a small, like not even worth to look at fucking number versus how serious of an issue this is and how much of it goes under fucking reported.
Especially with these people in positions of power. Like,
Yeah.
these women are taking all the risk to come out and speak against these guys because whether it be Cuomo or Biden, the entire establishment is now going to go fucking after you. So
Exactly.
to say something is like super brave. Like,
And like another thing is she's never getting another job with anything that has Democratic Party ties ever.
no, she's done.
Never. No matter where she
Instantly.
goes, if it has Democratic Party ties, she is no longer getting that. She's
Right, because
disqualified from that
Cuomo's a
job.
totem pole. He's top of the totem pole, and he's their guy. He, if anything, he's like the next fucking president. Like, that's how. If you have any illusions that the Democratic Party is gonna change or be something that can help us, like, look at Cuomo, dude. Like, he's everything you hate in Trump, but he's not fucking funny like Trump. That's the difference between them. That's the
Yeah,
only difference. He's just as cruel, just as neglectful, just as rapey, but he's not as funny. So,
and something I'll add to what you just said right there about how the Democratic Party will never change. It's very important that we start rallying behind either somebody running on the Democratic ticket that's working class, i.e., like a Bernie Sanders like person, or we unify and rally around a people's party, an actual working class party, a third party. And a big movement that came a lot from Nina Turner was the People's Party, which is already uh, petitioning to get on ballot for the midterms
you
in
can
2020.
register in California for the People's Party
Yes, and if
officially
you're
now.
more interested in the People's Party and what we're talking about, you can go to the link I'm putting in chat. And for those who are audio only, it is at People's Party _US. People's Party _US. PEOPLES PARTY _US on Twitter. And you can go to their website and check out their platform.
I think if you listen to this past, this is obvious too. Like, our view is much broader, of course, too. Like, we believe in building working class power, and actually, like, it's beyond party politics. Like, we actually have to organize workers to fight against the system because the parties are completely corrupt. But these third party lanes are a part of this approach. Like, people talk about coalition building all the time, but I think our show has been pretty consistent about, just speaking about coalition building, because third party approaches are part of that. Like, registering to be part of the People's Party, whether you think voting works or not, it's going to build another lane, another avenue for us to do something. And that can add to our working class appeal. And we shout out local groups like Ox Rev Study and the
Revolutionary
Oxnard students, the student group, because they do the groundwork also in the city. That's important, and that's how all these things intersect into each other. And the whole point is we're trying to build an alternative to Cuomo and the Democratic Party, because they don't stand for working people at all.
Absolutely. And another thing to that is, if the left wants real power here in the US, we have to stop playing these purity test games like I'm more leftist than you. I read more theory. We have to fucking we all want the end goal. We all want the same end goal. We all want to fucking lift the burden placed upon the proletariat. We want workers to have actual power. We want to extend democracy to the workplace. We want to fix the issues in the United States. We got to just fucking man up and work together. I don't fucking like third world Maoists, fucking, Luxembourgists, whatever the fuck, dude. Like, trots, just fucking, like, come on, dude. Let's get our people healthcare, man. I don't care if you think voting don't work. We can do this, and we have to start doing this. We have to.
There's like a duality to that, right? To the what did you call it? Like, to the purity tests. Like, because at one point we do want to use purity tests. Like, if you're not for giving every single person healthcare,
Absolutely,
get the fuck out of here.
Absolutely, you have to at least be.
But we shouldn't limit working class people to joining our movement.
Absolutely.
Based on some bullshit. Yeah, dude, that's a huge, like, that's not even one of our topics, but like, that's a huge point. Like, we shouldn't be dividing people on shit that does not matter, but we should absolutely be talking about the thing that does matter and should divide
Absolute
people.
most important issues: a Green New Deal, Medicare for all, college free tuition, a minimum wage that is tied to not only inflation but productivity, working to unionize the workforce in the United States, get us to where the fucking Nordic countries are, get us beyond the Nordic countries, as well
Right,
as
those are purity tests that are necessary.
exactly. And we don't need to talk about you know getting rid of fucking luxuries or the decommodification of fucking like guitar companies or whatever. I don't fucking care about that shit. We can talk about it later. Let's get the necessities down.
Right. Well, the point is we be pure on our principles, which is like that everyone should have quality of life, which is quality healthcare, the ability to have a home, quality like
Quality house.
everyone should have a home. Yeah, quality housing, everyone should have a home, healthcare, they should eat, they should have quality education.
And not only, and not more important than anything, we need to, you know, we need to have a right to a community. We need to have the right, to be who we are. We're like humans are, we created cities and towns for a reason. We're naturally just like humanitarian, and we need to return to that. We need to return to sure we absolutely need right to good housing, good healthcare, but that needs to be a part of you know our community, the human race.
Yeah, I guess our point is like there's good purities that are like things you can't compromise on. There are issues that are life and death. But then when we're talking about not having purity tests, that's in regards to welcoming working class people, because our whole goal is to improve the life of your everyday person. So to reject those people is fucking ridiculous, because they're the people's lives we're trying to improve.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Do we want to move to the next one? That was really good.
Well, think about it, like even a lot of like Trump supporting Republicans would say that they're against the elite and the establishment, even if they were tricked into supporting a candidate who was favoring those interests. But it shows that, I mean, the sentiment is there. We gotta just convince people.
And yeah, like a perfect example of that are people who flipped from Obama to Trump because Trump was the fake populist. They didn't have the Bernie Sanders option, which Bernie Sanders did very good among those people that went Obama to Trump. So that means if Bernie was in the race, he would have got those Obama to Trumpers. They would have went Obama to Bernie, and that's a huge part of what we're talking about. He was the working class candidate on the left. Then you have the fake populists on the right. And people obviously want better working conditions. So they're going to go to the guy who's talking about their working conditions, who's talking about bringing the jobs back, even though he's obviously a complete liar. He was terrible, terrible fucking president, whatever. Yeah, like
But in understanding that, we understand why he's making that appeal. We understand that there are working class people in the Midwest that are fucking suffering. And we need to understand that not everybody that voted for Trump in the 2016 election, I mean, it wasn't just all general racism. Like, there was suffering behind it. And we can't just the liberal notion is to neglect those people and to say they're all dumb and racist, rather than, hey, there are serious material issues in this country, and the reason we got a Donald Trump is because we fucked over those people that voted for Obama because they wanted a change from George Bush, and instead they got more neoliberalism, and so they said, fuck it, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. And then, of course, Donald Trump's a piece of shit and nothing got better, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't recognize the plight those people are in, because they're in the same boat as us.
And it's super important to recognize what's happening right now under Joe Biden, how he's already being a fucking piece of shit neoliberal, just like Obama, which is going to lead to a Trump. And I don't think Biden is going to get a second term, to be completely honest. I don't think he's even going to
if his brain's there.
I don't even think he's going to fucking survive to a second term. And Kamala Harris, Cop Mala, is not going to carry the torch. unless the left unifies around a real working class candidate, either under a third party, independent, or in the Democratic Party itself, we are going to lose to either Trump 2024 or somebody fucking worse who runs even farther to the right to Trump. Because people feed off of that, like, just fascist. The right feeds off of that.
Yes.
And we have to be, and like I've been seeing like a lot of people saying things like, oh, like I obviously in a joking manner, but like, oh, like I see a lot of people talking about Joe Biden as if you didn't know he was going to be bad or something. It's like the point is like we knew he was going to be terrible. We have to make sure we hold him accountable as publicly as we can for the people who don't know, who didn't know, who were generally surprised that things didn't get better because they were lied to by the Democratic Party. We need to be there to build that bridge with them and be like, listen, Joe Biden's a piece of shit, nothing got better, and we talk about it and then try to bring him to our side. Whether that's somebody who voted Democrat, somebody who voted Republican, people who realized after Joe Biden was elected and the communists took over that the country didn't explode. Like those people are going to need somebody to talk to at the end of the day, to de-radicalize them, to bring them kind of back to reality, and to talk about what's wrong, the pain that they feel that they ended up that brought them to go to down these like conspiracy rabbit holes and shit. Like there's a reason they fell to that hole, and it's whether it be like because they hate the intelligence agencies or whatever, it all comes back to the same place of their material conditions are terrible, and that's what's causing all of this.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking nail on head right there. Like, we have to appeal to these people because, I said it the same way too. We're in the same boat as them. That's our goal. That's the humanist lens of our philosophy, right? Like, we're all working class humans, and we understand whether their suffering is different or not than ours. We all share the same, and we're all working towards the same goal, which is a better life for the lot of us.
Yeah.
Good point too, bringing up like just the fact that Biden has not been an alternative. We're now officially about to reach. We pretty much have, right? The first full month of Biden's term.
Yeah,
and he hasn't even gotten a fucking stimulus check for people. Even Trump did that shit.
Yeah, it did.
Come on.
And it's just it's everything, and then just
all the people that thought Joe Biden was going to be the alternative or the difference from Trump, who had their political awakening under Trump, like I think we did too, to a certain degree, right? It was big for us when Trump was elected in 2016.
Yeah, we were on election night all together in
I was in senior year of high school. We were brought up in that.
Yeah, we were in Discord watching it, the little Hillary Clinton Trump pixel art guys jumping and shit. Yeah, we were right there. We watched it happen.
Pixel art?
Right, but people that have gotten their political awakening really like in the last year or two and realize how shit Trump is and thus how shit the system is, but for some reason they reasoned Biden's going to be the alternative. Look, we're a month in. It's just this shit. And things are going to open up soon. Like I work in a restaurant. They're saying the restaurants are going to open up indoor dining soon. And yeah, COVID cases have dropped, but there hasn't been a significant increase in vaccinations or anything like that to say that we should open up.
Opening of schools too.
Yeah, they're opening schools across the country, which is insane. Like, and they're not changing anything. They're not bigger spaces or more teachers. They're just, if anything, less teachers.
Yeah, and that's something I was just going to say. They want to reopen schools, but they also don't fund their schools enough, their public schools enough, so they don't have the proper, they don't have the proper or equipment rather to fucking open properly. They don't have everything they need. They don't have like the pods to do like smaller classes. They don't have, they can't, renovate ventilation. We can barely.
But they could.
Exactly. They absolutely could. They just refuse to because both corrupt parties rather work towards privatization of the schools and just continually taking out of the public and putting into the private.
You don't think these schools like saved a ton of money from not like let's say when COVID hit, the schools weren't being funded as much, like so they weren't utilizing all the resources. They didn't need to spend so much money on the students because the students weren't even there. So do you think like they were probably like they have a ton of money just sitting in the back, just kind of like, but they're not really using it?
No, because I mean, you got to think
Really?
they had to supply all their students with fucking like the laptops and shit for their online.
Right.
They had to supply
The
it.
teachers, they still have to pay the teachers.
Yeah, they still have to pay the teachers, and they still have a lunch program for kids who need, or some schools still have like their lunch program. And
Right.
yeah, like they're still having to pay all these costs, and they probably still have to keep the school, to some sort of like functionality. Like there's probably still administrative work there, so they have to keep the power on and whatnot. Like it's, it doesn't all go away. And yeah, and as underfunded as public schools specifically are, I don't see them having any kind of like pocket money, because they were scraping by when we were in session.
Yes.
They were scraping by
They
when
were before. Yeah. I think now this all serves towards this move to make everything online, though, and thus, like you said, Ian, just push privatization of education. Like, not with the pandemic, like I've gotten a personal survey from Ventura College asking me, like, would you be comfortable coming back to classes, in-person classes, etc. But I think from here on out, most courses, if not all courses, are going to be online, if not partially online, like in some capacity online. And I don't think, even though the pandemic is what necessitated that, to people that were paying attention, I think a lot of colleges were already making that move. Like for instance, most schools, especially community colleges, they use Canvas. They're using like the Starfish program or whatever now as their like, to work everything. And Starfish is a subsidiary, I think, of Microsoft. And Microsoft, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. Bill Gates is a piece of shit. So yeah, the pandemic just serves that interest of further privatizing our education, and that just further deteriorates our education, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving towards, it's harder to teach humanities online,
Oh yeah.
Like,
That doesn't mean online's all bad. Like I think
no, but I'm saying like, and this further pushes, the whole get a STEM degree, fuck humanities kind of.
yes.
That's what I'm.
Fuck critical thinking.
Yeah,
Fuck talking. Fuck the human part.
just do.
Fuck just pay money and do math.
Yeah, plot this graph.
Bill Gates is basically a modern Rockefeller. He just has so much money that he can put into everything.
Yeah. Didn't we covered the story, right, where he is the single greatest landowner in the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's something you don't even think about.
Yeah, it's nuts. He owns the most fucking farmland.
Yeah, the most farmland of any person in the United States.
Bill Gates. And he's Microsoft guy. So so much for the free market.
Yeah.
And
that was all good. That all was really good.
Also, yeah, I just want to put this in the VOD. Fuck, corporatism is capitalism. Fuck you. just want that in the VOD.
Yeah. Just different words for the same thing.
Do we want to go into a break and then come back? Because
I thought that was a good idea.
We have like 2 topics and then a video, and then we're out. So yeah, I think like a break right here is cool. So yeah, we're gonna be really quick right back. We just have a song to play. We're gonna come back. We have 3 more things to talk about, and then we're gonna get out of here. So yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We saw a bunch of people join earlier. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Here.
We had like 12 or 13 at one point. Thank you to everyone watching. Yeah. We always appreciate it.
I saw 16 that I dropped.
Oh wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Our last show was like we haven't eclipsed 100 viewers in a long time. And our last show beat 100 viewers.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
I agree. But yeah, Michael just put in our socials link. Go follow us on all of our stuff to keep up to date with us. And yeah, we will be right back after this song.
What?
Making me fall in love with you is easy, too easy to do. Yeah. Thinking about you lately, even though you don't, oh baby you do. All I can guess is you like me or more. I hope it's more than just friends. Friends. Wanting to be your friend, just to feel the drama where we pretend to be friends. And I hope you like me too, the same way that I do. That I do. And time never felt so good when I was with you. With you.
Yo, we're back.
We're back.
It is
I'm not truly again. It was strawberry and what?
strawberry lemonade. Talking.
Ooh, I thought it said mango. Strawberry lemonade.
Strawberry mango would be fire.
I like
Strawberry
the
lemonade
lemonades.
sounds fire though.
It's pretty good.
I had it truly only one time, and I don't remember what flavor it was. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, they're not bad.
It wasn't bad.
I think I like them better. No, White Claw. I like the I've heard the Bud Light seltzers are pretty good.
I had one of those. Carolina had some of those. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard
I had one, but I don't remember the flavor or the whatever it was that I got.
I'm still more of an IPA guy personally, but yeah, these are cool.
Yeah, I prefer just a normal beer. Like if you're gonna drink
Yeah.
beer.
These are nicer than a tall can, just because they're just so sweet.
Yeah, more liquor, right? It's like drinking in Arizona.
Yeah, it's yeah. Oh, but yeah, I'm definitely more of an IPA guy. I like being an IPA. I just recently, well, from Topa Topa here in Ventura, we're in Oxnard, but
Where's that at?
I don't know where it is exactly, but they're from Ventura, Topa Topa, and I tried their Spectro. It's a hazy India Pale. It was pretty good. It had like
Oh, they're a brewery here.
yeah, they're a brewery. Yeah, they had like some really nice grapefruit tones to it. I recommend it. I was a fan, and yeah, that was the only thing I've had from Topa, but it was good. Yeah,
Nice.
like whole food.
I need to pick up some. I might be there. Do you work there tomorrow? Are you there tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm there tomorrow.
I don't want to give Bezos money, but can I pay you to get beers? Can I do that?
We have good beer. We have a good beer selection.
You guys do have a good beer selection. Buy there if you like beer, but don't buy there if you don't like Bezos.
That's the only exception is to get alcohol.
Yeah.
Or the
I think the only things I've ever bought is pizza. Yeah, pizza and beer is the only things I've bought from Whole Foods.
Fuck yeah.
I don't think I've ever bought anything.
The pizza's good there too.
Pizza's good there.
You never had the pizza there, Michael?
Mm-mm.
Oh, the pizza's
I've never
good,
shopped there.
man.
I've walked in there and I just look around and then I leave. Never shopped in there.
It's actually a decent grocery store, honestly. Of course it is. Like it's fucking it's for rich people. It's for people that have money. Like if you can afford to buy organic food that's healthy for you, it's fucking easy. And there's all kinds of good shit, but for most people it's not, man.
No, yeah, 100%. It's all overpriced as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, Whole Foods is overpriced, and if you go to Walmart, it's over GMO'd, you know?
yeah.
Like, can't win. Does anyone have like any thoughts before we do our first piece back into the second half?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, so this is like we'll call this our anniversary piece because I'll have another thing to talk about. But it's been a decade since our regime change in Libya, and Ahmed Caballo, who's a great reporter. If you don't follow him, you should. He's I think he's based out of the UK. I don't know if he was born there, but he does great work, mostly in the Middle East and Africa as well. But he's going to talk about, kind of what's transpired in Libya since, keep in mind, Barack Obama's administration decided to do an intervention in Libya. And nothing has gotten better in Libya, man. Libya is one of the most prosperous countries in Africa. And now it has open slave market. He's going to say all that shit. I mean, he's going to say it better than me. But yeah, just play it.
Probably the antithesis of an emancipation. So this week it's been 10 years since the NATO-backed uprising in Libya, and no matter how you measure it, it has been a disaster. Not only has it caused Libya to go from being the most prosperous nation in Africa, which went from being the poorest country in the world before Gaddafi to having the highest living standards in Africa in Gaddafi's reign, to now being a failed state with perpetual wars, with people that look like me being sold in open slave markets, with the country likely to be divided into 2, potentially 3 Libyas over the course of the next decade. And it's completely destabilized the whole of Africa. Because of the weapons that were pumped in to Libya, has caused Takfiri terrorists to rise in places like Mali. We've seen terrorist attacks in Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso. We've seen the reemergence and empowerment of groups like Al-Qaeda, Daesh, and Boko Haram in Nigeria. And the countries that supported this regime change war, principally the UK, France, and the US, have actually made life more unsafe for their own citizens. Now, the UK supported the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, gave them their passports so they could travel to Libya to fight to overthrow Colonel Gaddafi. And now, in 2017, there was a terrorist attack by a young man affiliated to the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, and yet this has been completely ignored by the mainstream media. Those links have not been raised. Theresa May, who was the Home Secretary at the time, has not been scrutinized about this decision, and the Liberals want to forget about the role in destroying one of Africa's most prosperous nations. Now, Steve Howell says this: "The Times reporting Libyans mourn Gaddafi sums up a tragedy of regime change war. I don't know if it's true, but I do know it's supremely arrogant of Western liberal interventionists to decide what's best for other people. But of course, it wasn't really about people."
We can pause it there, Carlos. Or yeah, it's done. But yeah, it wasn't about the people. That was the rhetoric used under the Obama administration for why we should invade Libya. Was to help, just like it was under George Bush, claiming that we were going to liberate the Iraqis. It was to liberate the Libyans. But the reality was we were there to steal their natural resources, to oppress their people, to further the goals of capitalism. And now we see the results of that, man. Like, I think, yeah, no, we played a Gaddafi speech on this channel, man. Like, he said it up front, like, he knew the gains he made for his country, and regardless of what you think of him, that's the reality. His country prospered under his reign. It improved the lives of everyday people, and the United States lynched him. And because of that, the living standards in Libya have fell. Privatization has increased in the country. Open slave markets exist. Fucking the things we claim to be most against, terrorism, terrorist groups, Al Qaeda, Al Nusra, they have increased in the country, and that's, I guess that's all to feed into our general message in the channel that it's not fucking Trump. Like, Trump is not where this began. Libya happened under Barack Obama. Fucking Joe Biden was part of that administration, and he's continuing that legacy. And now that it's been a decade, we should take that in and understand that Joe Biden and his administration are going to call for more interventions like these, and we should vehemently stand against all of them because they're wrong. And we need to stand with all working class people and all people in the world, because the fucking evidence is here for us, dude. History throughout time, through every administration, has shown us what the byproduct of these interventions is, and it's just decreasing the quality of life in these countries. That's all it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you think about it from the U.S.'s perspective, if we were really net putting more into these countries than we were getting out of them, then capitalism would have no reason to want to go and do regime change in another country. It's
right, but that's not the reality. Point. The reality is we want their resources.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that a capitalist system has to gain out of doing regime change in another country, is to exploit them.
Yes.
To put in your puppets.
And sometimes not even that. Some, like in the example of Iraq, like, yes, it was about oil and opium, but in some degree, like, the Iraq war was so bungled, and like, we, in a lot of ways, we lost so much money, and the government lost so much legitimacy from that it wasn't beneficial to them. But that's beside the point. They can't decide whether these things are beneficial to them or not.
Well, think about it from
nature.
Well, think about it from this perspective. Yeah. It's the people's money that gets spent on these wars to fund the military to do the invasions, and the people who own the companies who get to produce all the equipment for the wars make out like fucking robbers. So they definitely profit off of this.
Yeah, what's the famous? Dude, I'll look it up right now so I don't look dumb. But war's a racket, right? That's the phrase.
Yeah.
Smedley Butler. War. Yeah, that's the principle.
We don't
have to understand that war is a business. And even if that business, like in the Iraq War, if the business is not necessarily profitable, the mindset of the U.S. imperialist goal, nation, is not to make that calculation. If it's not profitable to invade Iraq, our goal is to control the whole world and dominate their resources. We're going to invade Iraq whether it's beneficial or not, because we have to keep this notion that everyone's our bitch. So we can't let someone, no matter what they do, we have to stomp on them, basically. That has been our foreign policy for the last fucking, 80 years. And you should expect nothing different under Joe Biden.
And ultimately, we're just like a cancerous tumor on the fucking side of the United Kingdom. Like, we stemmed from the same imperialism that we currently do. Like, you muted by
they were the first. We came from them for sure.
We came from imperialist conquest. We just decimated the native peoples of this land, exploited them for resources, and now we do that to fucking virtually every country that can't defend itself.
And the irony of we didn't like the British exploitation, so we got rid of them, but now we're the exploiters.
Yeah, we didn't like British exploitation,
when they were doing it to us.
Yeah, we want to be the ones. We want to be the top dog.
Let's fucking break the cycle, honestly. Like, that's how imperialism has lived through all. I mean, we talked about this too. Imperialism is by definition tied to capitalism.
Of course.
And since capitalism has arose, there's been an imperial power throughout history, right? And their goal has been to dominate the globe, extract resources, and maximize profit. And the United States is both the current and the worst we've ever seen. And we need to. Our narrative should be to fucking end that cycle, dude. Like,
yeah, and
break it.
And another layer is it's just an extension of this. Like, it's just an extension of feudalism and then slavery. Like, it's an extension of, the same kind of like domination hierarchy fucking that we're so used to it. It's so, you went from slavery to feudalism, now we're at capitalism. Like, we've extended that past just the lands that we are like spawned on, basically. Now we just do it to other countries.
Yes, that is very powerful, Ian. Like, I think that's why it's so powerful when people talk about prisons being the new slavery, because it really is, and
it's written in the Constitution. Slavery is to be abolished unless use of fucking like as punishment.
Yeah.
Once you're an incarcerated person, you can be used for slave labor, and it's just completely legal.
And then you just have to criminalize the people you don't like.
Exactly.
Yes. That's why it's powerful to talk about it like that, though, because people of all creeds are claim to be vehemently against slavery, right? And capitalism just is an extension of slavery. It's just a little bit whittled down, maybe not as bad. That's not saying much, but
you can choose your master.
Terms, yeah, you can choose your master. That's it. You still have a master. And I think when we talk about it in those terms, yeah, that was really powerful, and it really seeds like why this is a problem. Capitalism is just an extension of a problem we've recognized as a problem.
And
no one wants to be a slave.
And depending on how you look
how is this any different?
The only way to break free is to kill your masters,
Yeah, hell yeah, run the jewels. Well, that's what we're saying, right? In the terms of breaking the cycle in imperialism, like, we can't keep repeating the same patterns. We understand now that these are just cycles that feed into each other and are going to destroy humanity.
And I guess I think this is an important takeaway, because I guess you can interpret that in different ways. Kill your master ultimately means the real master, which is capitalism. It doesn't mean any sort of group. It doesn't mean the Jews. It doesn't mean black people. It doesn't mean white people. It means
if you just kill a person, another one will take their place.
It means the system at hand. It means
yes,
capitalism.
Killing the idea of capitalism. Yeah,
because fucking who said it? Black capitalism isn't the answer. It's socialism.
Fred Hampton,
baby.
King.
But yeah, like,
great quote.
Real quick, did you guys hear about the new F-35 story?
Oh, I saw a screenshot of that. I didn't read all the way into it.
Where it's pretty much almost officially confirmed as a failure.
Did they buy a new F-35 like jet?
Well, you remember when the original F-35 thing like happened? It was like they're
like the $1 trillion fucking
now
plane or whatever.
It's pretty much just confirmed now that it was a complete waste of money because they suck.
Well, in their words, it doesn't do what they wanted it to do, even though they spent $1.5 trillion on it. Apparently, their excuse is like it was supposed to be a low-end fighter, but instead they made like the best fighter ever.
But yeah, like pretty much what we've been...
and that's the failure, apparently.
What we've been saying was going to happen, that it was just a waste of money. It ultimately...
Yes, that's the failure. Even if it does fucking do what it's supposed to do, which is
it's still a bad
ultimately kill people.
It's an immoral thing. It's fucking disgraceful.
Well, even beyond that, it's a fucking waste of money. Like, we could spend $1 trillion to wipe out fucking student debt. Why aren't we doing that shit?
$1 trillion, yeah, we spend trillions to wipe out debt. Credit card, like we could just truly like start to heal the working class, and we refuse to.
I mean, that's why they have to fearmonger for war and make it look like every country's on the brink of invading each other.
Right, so they can justify this bullshit.
Yeah, the people who love to profit off of war aren't gonna accept less.
Yeah. It's... In one hand, doesn't this turn you so, like... In a way, it turns me so pessimistic. It's just seeing the shit around me, but thinking of... always in the back of my mind is, like, the great work that organizers do in our city and elsewhere. Like, that always gives me hope. Not hope in meaning, like, we should just disregard all the bad shit that's happening and not talk about it, but hope is in, like, we're building an alternative, and that's the point. And as bad as shit is, like, we can't get discouraged by that and not invest in building in our own community, because that's what matters.
Fuck yeah.
That's the only way to fight imperialism, is grassroots from the ground up. That was the lesson we were supposed to take from the Bernie Sanders campaign. And when that died, like, if we took anything else out of it, I don't know, like, that should be the one thing we take. Like, let's build in all of our own communities working class movements to fight the bigger issues, because we're not going to get a president in. That's not happening. Look, didn't happen.
And even if you elect a politician to Congress, they'll happily be indoctrinated by the system.
Yeah, we were part of that movement.
Even those we consider the good ones.
Yes, we were part of the movement that started the Justice Dems, because we were part of the early watchers of the Kyle Kalinske Secular Talk channel, which he was a starter of the Justice Dems, which supported AOC. And we have obvious criticisms of AOC and her approach within the party. So it's like
they all seem to forget that the bully pulpit. You know, if you get elected with popular support and you know the people are on your side with the issues, then the only people standing in your way are the elites who have money, and you just have to expose them for who they are. Not cozy up to them and the people they support. You got to expose those people.
I think we forget that,
people why they shouldn't vote for them.
We forget that too, because, like, AOC obviously forgets that, because they're not using the progressives aren't using the bully pulpit correctly. But we're forgetting that too. Like, AOC is not your fucking friend. The whole point of parties, is to build another lane for working class movements. If parties don't serve working class people, I don't give a shit what they do. Like, the personalities, all that shit's not the point. If they're not serving everyday working people and their material interests, then put it aside. That's not the point.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have, like, any final thoughts before we move on?
No.
If there's anything that shouldn't be an argument of lesser of two evils, it's politics.
Yes, because it's the argument of between good and evil.
The whole realm of politics is just ideas anyway. So if you're compromising lesser of two evils, you're constantly dealing with shitty ideas all the time.
Yes. You're compromising on ideas.
As the one area, like, where we have the freedom of imagination to think outside the box.
Right. Yeah, well said. Shit.
Fuck yeah.
Michael, I haven't seen. Do you want to say anything before we move into the next?
I'm just kind of, like, pondering on, like, why we haven't made a stride towards, like, these type of, like, issues, or, like, how to, like, fix them or repair them, or just better the health.
They're not profitable.
I know, of course, and I just kind of, like, sitting here just thinking, like, why the fuck, like, it's more like sad, if anything. Like, it's just like,
that's what I was saying though. Don't let that get you pessimistic. Don't let that get you pessimistic, because we've seen in groups in our own community, even what real building can do. We have to be optimistic that
our organizations,
there's no other option.
Especially here in Oxford,
Yeah.
No,
yeah, if we're pessimistic to it, it serves no purpose almost.
We have to do the things that aren't profitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. We have to think of it in completely different
can't get
notions.
that in their head too. A lot of people don't understand like the profit motive that a lot of
yes.
Well, that's why it's a disease, because it makes you ignore the really important things. And it's just, how can I get whatever I get? How can I get my piece out of this before someone else does? And that's always going to be a race to the bottom at the end of the day.
Right. That's why it's so understandable too, because we've all grown up. We've all, whether it's our parents, us, we've all lived under that notion,
and it's
right?
constantly drilled in your head.
Yeah, get yours, right?
It's like, get an education so you can get a good job and get well paid. Not
over someone else. Yeah. Yeah, it's all just get yours over. Actually, I don't want to rip, like, I'll cite it because I don't want to rip it from Chapo, but they're like, Chapo Trap House, they're like, really the American archetype is the swindler, right? The guy that gets over on somebody. And that's why Donald Trump had an appeal, because he's the guy that swindles people.
That's very true.
Not that that's a good thing.
That's
but it's because the idea is we're such an individualistic society that it's each to their own, right? It's a dog eat dog world. We all got to fuck each other up. And if you make it out on top, that's what's virtuous. Rather than what we advocate for as virtuous is like helping your fellow person in your community, right?
Sacrificing like for one another.
Sacrificing. Yes, that's a huge word, sacrificing. I think two of our last show too, suffering and sacrificing are huge words we have to come to grapple with. We as the United States, as a society, we don't understand those words at all. Some people do, but
the saddest thing is we seem to understand those things when it comes to making money.
Right. We know how to sacrifice when it doesn't matter.
We ought to give 110% into our job just so we can get a few extra dollars, maybe get a slightly higher position. But at the end of the day, it's just work that's going into benefiting someone else.
Right. But we don't know how to sacrifice for like our fellow community members as much. I think we do. I mean, there are like we said, we shout out the work that people do in our community. And I think that's important because people do have the capacity for this. But the point is, capitalism has drilled in the idea that we don't. And that it's an individual society where we are all against each other. And, you make your money and I don't.
Well, if you really think about it like this, we do sacrifice, but we just sacrifice for the wrong people and for the wrong reasons.
Yes. For the wrong reasons.
So we're giving something up. And it's just, if everyone's sacrificing so that a handful of people like on the boards of directors can be multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, that's a sacrifice that we just don't acknowledge.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's move into our next piece. I think we summed it up there. Carlos, do you actually want to bring this one up? Because I know you were familiar with this one as well. We all are, I think, at this point, because it was pretty popular on Twitter. People are making memes out of this now.
I saw the Jimmy Dore show segment today where Max Blumenthal went on and kind of went over the article with him, since he is the one who wrote it. But this was just real interesting to see, because I saw this on the timeline yesterday from Aaron Mate, and I'll just get it up on screen so everyone can see what I'm talking about here. This is you might have seen this meme going around. These materials may have been obtained through hacking on Twitter, but this was the source of it. Is a article from the Gray Zone, exposing leaks released by Anonymous, who, Anonymous isn't really a main centralized group, but, one person within it who's helped release a lot of this information about the UK government and the connections that they've had funding media outlets to push pro-NATO narratives in, like, ex-Soviet Union countries and even in Russia itself to try to help spread that NATO influence, like pushing up on and having military presence right on Russia's border isn't enough. We have to just completely ideologically take over. It's clearly we don't see any other way, and obviously well, we lose Jakin. It seems like
Jakin exploded. Just straight up died.
Huh.
I guess continue on.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much.
Notice like his. Oh, never mind. Just go.
Well, so the whole point of this leak here, we're not really gonna go into the article here. We're just kind of more talking about it, but it pretty much exposes how the UK government was, like I said, funding media outlets to. Oh, we got him back here.
On his phone.
Yeah, I think my laptop died. I'm still here though. I hear you guys. I'm still in.
Alright.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so pretty much, and I guess the key point of this story is that, I mean, I'd say most of us could probably figure that, obviously governments were doing this already, like, yes, the UK here, the US, and you can just see that in the way that the media coverage reflects, who their main funders are. And in this case, the UK government, I mean, you could easily see how the, like, BBC coverage and even Reuters, pushes that pro-NATO narrative to take over these countries. And it's always the global chessboard kind of mentality, where it's any ground that we possibly secede to them is just ground lost by us. And clearly we're the offensive side, as, like I just mentioned, we're the one who has a military presence right up against these countries, funding rebel groups to overthrow the governments of these countries. I mean, you just think for a minute that the hypocrisy, like if Russia or China were funding right-wing extremist groups doing terrorist violence here in the U.S., I mean, anyone would be outraged at that.
Absolutely.
So you can't just ignore these issues, especially when it comes to, funding rebel opposition groups who, like in Syria, were blatantly killing, like military and, doing terrorist attacks in the country, all for political gain. And that's where it really hurts. It's I don't know where I was going with it, but I guess so the whole point of these leaks is that there were, I guess, members of the British Parliament who are, more socialist leaning from that kind of Labour Party, like Jeremy Corbyn, who were trying to investigate these programs and trying to find out, like, what it was going on in them specifically. And they were constantly being turned down and denied any kind of access under the guise of national security. Which, that's how important they consider this stuff. They consider funding news outlets to push their narratives. No one can know about this.
National security. Yeah.
Because at least RT, they put a big tag under RT saying that it's Russia state-affiliated media, because Russia funds and spends public money funding their news outlets. But, when it comes to stuff like this, you just straight up don't know. And it's all kept in secret under private corporations and secret contracts. So, I mean, at least Yeah, I mean, at least with RT, you could say that you know that they're more likely to push a pro-Russia narrative. But I mean, but at least you can acknowledge that openly. And with this kind of stuff, yeah, you think like Reuters are like, oh, they're an objective source, and they're not just gonna push one side's narrative to.
They're not U.S. propaganda.
Yeah, they're not a direct propaganda outlet. When in reality, I mean, you got this kind of stuff going on behind the scenes, and at the end of the day, it just breeds more distrust in the media. Because I mean, clearly, like I said, like if you just watch the coverage and the reporting, you can put two and two together if you have the awareness and the understanding of these geopolitical issues that, oh, they're clearly pushing this one side's narrative over, the interests of and the welfare of the people in these countries. Like, it doesn't matter about like what happens to the people, it just matters about power and control to these guys. Whatever happens to the people, I mean, they don't care. I mean, and you see it through their tactics. That's why you can't say the ends justify the means, because when you have your means at the end of the day, all the things you use to justify, well, the ends that you end up at, like, it'll come back. I mean, it's history. Even if you try to whitewash it, I mean, it's ingrained in the very fabric of the people who live to this day. They don't forget. Like the people in the Middle East, they don't forget who dropped bombs on them, who supported the terrorist groups to overthrow their governments.
Yep.
And at the end of the day,
their countries.
Well, like we pointed out before, with how profitable the military is, I'm pretty sure they're aware of this and they're fine with it, and that's why they continue doing it, even under Obama, who was quote unquote like the best president of our lifetimes. What a thing to say.
That's crazy. Like, considering our presidents have been Bush, I think there's an incest happening behind me. But there's Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden have been the presidents in our lifetimes. So to say the best president in our lifetimes is not saying anything.
Oh, facts.
We might have the worst if you just choose like the worst 4 you could have in your lifetime. We might be pretty close. Like maybe if you're like, okay, if you lived during like Martin Van Buren, Andrew Jackson, yeah, that might be pretty close. But like, considering how bad the capitalism is deteriorating, we might be pretty fucking close.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, especially from the geopolitical standpoint, it's like each president just kind of gets worse than the last.
Yeah, and seriously, ironically, Obama had more interventions than Bush. And no one mentions that.
And almost ironically, under Trump, I mean, we've reported on some of them, a lot of the coup attempts. There haven't been as many outright military invasions under Donald Trump. Well, there's certainly a lot of attempted government takeovers. Like assassination attempts on Maduro.
Right. Yeah, sanctions should be called that, like outright fucking regime change attempts. Trump was not fucking changing that. He did all kinds of sanctions against Iran and Venezuela. Nothing new.
Yeah, we're like with Obama, it's like how many of the our military operations were just like kept under the rug.
Right.
And how many did Trump do that we just don't know about yet?
Right, like all the shadow shit in Africa, like I think will definitely be a part of our burgeoning Africa segment, like the CIA's stuff in Africa, because that has to be part of the story.
Of course.
Like under Trump, we learned that we were doing shadow wars in Niger and shit. And that didn't start under Trump. That started under Obama. We didn't know that shit. Like, that's great. A whole ass country we were doing shit in. We didn't know it. We were paying for that.
Yeah, it's like almost leaves you speechless how like insane it is.
Well, I'll go back to this real quick, and I'll just answer that the disclaimer is kind of about. So I'm not gonna go to it, but pretty much if you click on it, it'll go to a little page from the Twitter support where they outline the October 2020 guidelines on what they consider hacking, and this is pretty much some of the worst definitions I've ever seen. But to just sum it up, they consider hacking anything that is released without explicit permission. So if you have access to a computer system and you take that information and you release it to the public, if you weren't given explicit permission to do so, that can be considered hacking, according to Twitter.
If you report a leak, basically, even if you weren't the one that hacked a leak,
like Chelsea Manning,
that would be considered hacking.
The information Chelsea Manning released would be considered a hack, not
Somebody
a leak.
Julian Assange would be considered a hacker, even though he's never infiltrated someone's system.
I think that Chelsea Manning thing is huge. Like, yeah, she had full government security access.
Snowden is considered a hacker under this, not a leaker, even though he had access to all the top secret NSA clearance, since he helped design those systems.
Right, Ian. What with Manning? Yeah, that was.
No, yeah, like
I think
that
was super important.
That's like a spot on example of this. It's like, yeah, like Chelsea Manning had full government level support. She had access to all these files, all these things, and she realized just the injustice and exposed them, and then everything that happened, all the torture, all that, everything. And it's just, in no way is she some like crazy like super hacker that like broke through secret government code or whatever. Like, she's clocked into fucking work.
And which,
I mean, even that's simple.
To be honest, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to like government agencies, like, who cares? Even if they do, you actually like hack firewalls and shit to get the information. I mean, at the end of the day, the principle of a government should be to serve the people, and the best way to serve the people is through transparency and letting them know what you're doing specifically to help them. And when our governments make all this information private or classified information for our national security, I mean, here's a prime example right here of what they mean by that.
Right. Which is, they're lying. It's not for our national security.
It's in our best interest.
It's in your best interest, but you don't need to know about it.
Yeah, exactly. This was a huge piece too, because we just talked about we use Gray Zone pieces all the time because they do actual news, unlike most fucking news outlets. And to see, like, we've also talked about Twitter, like, using these labels against Donald Trump's Twitter account and other Twitter accounts is like, misinformation, etc. And we talked about the consequences of that in regards to both further radicalizing fucking right-wing nut jobs and giving further power to tech companies. We see
this
that
turns
further
them
here,
into a media curator.
Yes. Now they decide a source we commonly use that, dude, as far as I know, I've never seen a piece from Gray Zone that I basically don't 100% agree with. And I'd say almost as any other source we use, Gray Zone is one of our most popular sources. Like, it covers so much international news as far as U.S. intervention in coups and meddling. And to see something like this is just, it further justifies our reasoning to why we shouldn't give these powers to tech companies. Because Twitter outright is fucking labeling a source that we use that is legit as, they're labeling them as hackers.
Or at the very least, think about it like this. It doesn't matter whether you consider them a legitimate outlet or not. I mean, the information is information and should be judged on its own merit.
Right.
And clearly,
exactly.
Just because it's coming from like MSNBC or CNN doesn't make it any more legitimate than like the Gray Zone.
Right. I don't think they should get this label either. Exactly. We should all be viewed, but it further shows the kind of reporting that Gray Zone is doing, honestly, too. That they're willing to put this shit against them.
And I mean, even with like right-wing outlets like the Daily Wire and Breitbart that you'd probably consider like garbage and who post a lot of garbage news, I mean, I wouldn't delist them. I mean, it's better to have the information out there so people can see it and scrutinize it.
Right, so you can expose them. Yeah, scrutinize them. Exactly. The whole thing the right always peddles, right? I think we talked about this, the Dave Rubin shit, like the battle of ideas. Like, if we as leftists should really hold to that, like, that is true. All ideas should be out there so that they can be judged on whether they're bullshit or not. And the Gray Zone example is just...
There he goes.
They're taking us out.
I think on that though, we move into our last piece here, which is a video. And I think on that, we can just get. We can't hear you if you're talking.
CIA's trying to drop me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got my point. I think they got me there. Like, the Gray Zone is just so integral, and it really shows the good reporting that Gray Zone's doing, that they're going after him, and we stand in solidarity with them because all their pieces highlight international working class struggle, and yeah, fuck the big corporations. We've since day one of this podcast stood against just technology monopolies and their censoring of leftists, honestly.
Yeah, I think we can move into our last piece here, which is a video. So we'll all meet up.
I'm excited to watch it.
It's another Gravel Institute video. So yeah, we'll get the cameras cut and we'll just let this play out. Go ahead and start it whenever you're ready.
Just 5 years ago, it was hard to imagine socialists winning elections in America. It's the United States, the global heart of capitalism. For a long time, socialism was a dirty word. Republicans called everyone from Harry Truman to Bill Clinton a socialist. In a few short years, everything has changed. A lifelong Democratic socialist almost became the Democratic presidential nominee twice. Polls show socialism is soaring in popularity, and a huge number of young socialist people of color are getting elected to office. Socialists like Jamal Bowman in New York and Cori Bush in Missouri are defeating incumbent congresspeople. Black and brown working class socialists are winning seats in state legislatures and city councils. And the biggest name in the Democratic Party is a Latina socialist from the Bronx. If you're excited about creating a society that works for everyone, you might be inspired by socialist big victories in 2018 and 2020. And you might be wondering if you too can become a voice for your community. That's what I'm here to talk about. I teach math at a middle school in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. I'm an activist and a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. And in 2020, I became the first black gay man to be elected a state senator in New York. It wasn't easy. In the Democratic primary, I ran against a state assembly person who was endorsed by the incumbent. I was opposed by the local political machine, but in the end, we won with 58% of the vote. It took a lot of hard work, but we won. And I want to help you do the same thing. So here are some things to consider if you want to run for office as a socialist. First, know why you're running for office. Most people who run for office, either Democrat or Republican, run because they have a big ego or they want a career in politics, and it's easy to feel like they're the ones who belong in office. But socialists have a different approach. Socialism stresses community and solidarity. You can run for office to help people in your community, people you know, people you encounter every day at work or in the neighborhood. In my class, I had one girl who was tired all the time, and when I checked in, it was because she was up late because she had to sleep at her grandma's house. It was obvious she didn't have a secure place to sleep every night. How could she learn when she didn't have her basic needs met? Another student of mine was struggling and then one day just stopped showing up. A few days later, I got an email from his mom saying they had to move to Long Island because they were evicted. I ran for office because of experiences like these. I ran to help people like my students and their families. I knew what our system was doing to people and how it impacted the ability of my students to give their all in the classroom. That leads me to my second point. We need more working class socialists in office, but you don't have to start by running for office. I started out by campaigning for same-sex marriage in New York. I organized rallies for Black Lives Matter. I canvassed for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I worked on access to affordable housing with the Democratic Socialists of America. I wasn't new to these struggles. By the time I ran for office, I'd been fighting for years and I was part of a broader movement for justice. Movements are made up of activists and organizers, and the best campaigns are powered by people. You can do an incredible amount of good by working as a tenant organizer or contributing to unionization campaigns. Even though the media likes to focus on the big electoral victories, the real progress comes from thousands of small victories fought for by people you might never hear about. Over 1,000 people volunteered on my campaign for state senate, and they are the reason we won. If you do want to run for office, consider where you are most needed. There are a ton of really important positions in local or state politics that don't get as much attention as Senate or congressional races, but are incredibly influential. Judgeships, city or town council seats, state legislatures, school boards, positions at the county level. So much power is held in offices with elections that go uncontested. You'd be surprised how far you can go. Third, focus on the material issues that shape the lives of your constituents. Socialism is about material change, helping people in real, tangible ways with programs and policies that ensure everyone has access to free healthcare, decent housing, and a good education. Don't run on technocratic tweaks. Be ambitious. Campaign on systems that ensure people have what they need to survive and thrive. Talk about the issues you've experienced in your community. Is rent too expensive? Do nurses and doctors not have enough funding? Do local schools not have enough money? Socialism is also about power. Who has it and who doesn't? That's why socialist candidates need to run on structural solutions, finding ways to bring power back to ordinary people. Talk with people in your community every day about the problems they face and the future you want to build together. Your single biggest advantage is your community. And fourth, if you lose, don't be afraid to try again. In 2017, I ran for city council and came up short. It was tough. But a few years later, I tried again running for state senate and won. So don't be discouraged if you don't win. In 2018, Cori Bush ran for Congress in St. Louis and lost to a 20-year incumbent. 2 years later, she came back and won. Socialists are winning elections because we're focused on creating a system that works for everyone, and because we recognize that the system today is designed to benefit only a small, wealthy minority. Socialists are winning because we're building power by working together, day after day. And people across the country are on board. No matter where you live, there are people all around you eager for change and seeking practical, tangible solutions to the injustices they face. So my last piece of advice is this. Remember that you are not alone. If you're thinking about running for office as a socialist, look for other organizing groups in your area and online. Together, we can create a better society, one that works for all of us. I'm Jabari Brisport, New York State Senator for the Gravel Institute.
And yeah, I kind of had a guess. I almost didn't put this in, but I kind of had a guess. Like he was gonna bring back full circle what we talked about all episode, and I think he did very well. I think he really just encapsulated like a lot of the conversation we had today about how just important it is to just grassroots organizing, and nothing will change until we awaken as a working class. We have to break all the barriers, not like a Hillary Clinton meme, but like seriously, like we have to we have to realize that until every worker is free and every worker has the right to a good life, our fight's never over. And that's abroad, that's domestic, that's wherever.
Yes. You're right. It encapsulated this entire show. Like, I thought that was so powerful when he was talking about how he had students that were being evicted. But he didn't know that at first because they were just not showing up to class. Right?
Exactly.
And we were talking about that earlier with just how these different things, really feed into other things. I think.
Absolutely.
I think that's a stark example of that. I thought it was powerful too, and he was talking about because it totally relates to all of us. Like building small, even if it feels like it's small and meaningless. This relates to our topic on optimism and pessimism. Like even if it seems like your back's against the wall, kind of like these little battles really do fucking matter. And even if they don't matter, like they matter in principle, right? Like you don't give up. Like that's the whole point. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep building working class power because at the end of the day, we all want to see people's lives improve. And if we just give up, that's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
we have to keep the little fights, whether it's maybe this is a tangent too, but like in Oxnard, this can speak. I don't, I'm pretty sure we just have our usual viewers watching, but there was like another person that died from our school. We've had a lot of people from our high school that have died during the pandemic for different reasons. Unrelated, I think, but we have to build power and memory for like a lot of these people too. I think there's just a lot of suffering happening right now, and to put our heads down and just take our beatings we can't do that. Like now or never is maybe not the phrase, but yeah, maybe it is.
Yeah.
I just like the way he said that socialism is more of like for the people and for everybody. And I feel like a lot of people try to look for a politician that is for everybody or like something that, because you want to find like a balance between like a Republican or a Democrat, since those are, let's just say, use those as like the two biggest, since they're the two biggest ones. Find a middle ground and see what you can work up from there. And I feel like the guy in the video, I forgot what he said at the end, and I can't like quote it word for word, but he said like, socialism is more for everybody, and that the current system that we're in now is not for everybody, and it's only helping the wealthy, and that's the only ones that it really.
Well, that's when you're talking about economically. Like the Democrats and the Republicans' economic policies really aren't too different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still subsidizing big industry and not helping our communities.
Exactly, yes.
Which that's what the whole point of socialism has to be, regardless of what your views on cultural issues are. It's just ensuring that the economic foundation is secured.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
That was a good point, Michael. Like, yeah, I think Carlos said it in there too. Like, that's the point of our goal, right? We got to make sure that economic rights are a part of all the other rights, right?
Yeah.
Because they are as integral as are all the other human rights, and all of them are intertwined.
The social rights are almost worthless if we don't guarantee economic rights.
If we don't guarantee economic rights, yes, absolutely. I think in this concept that we keep pushing of things being intersected and intertwined, if you leave one, if we get rid of economic rights, we can't have fucking social rights. If we have social rights only, our economic rights they're all intertwined. You can't leave one without the other. I don't think we've ever had like a piece on Native American culture or anything, but fucking Native cultures understand this to a T. Like whether it be people in the Amazon, people in Native cultures in Eastern Europe, or Native cultures in North America, they understand that all things are intersected and intertwined. If you fuck any one of them up, it fucks the whole web up. And that's a socialism as it gets, baby. Anyone have any? This is all of our pieces for the viewers. We didn't have a lot tonight, but I think that was some good conversation, guys. Like we had a lot of thoughts here.
I mean, we're running along the same we would like a normal episode.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy, right? Like we've managed to fill a normal episode time.
Fuck yeah.
And it doesn't feel drawn out.
I don't think so.
No.
But I think we had a good one. I think we can close it out here. I really appreciate not only everybody watching, but like I appreciate you guys. That was like we had good conversation, I think.
Yeah, me too. You guys have some shit I didn't think about, but also stuff that was in my mind that further reinforces why this was a good group to put this show together.
I agree.
I think we have a really good dynamic.
I fully agree.
That's why we need to get more people on the show.
Yeah, seriously. When was the last time we did a fucking interview?
We haven't had a guest in like fucking almost like 25 episodes or something.
Who was the last person we brought on?
Oh, there goes Jake.
Was it Abram?
Yeah, he was the last one. That was like episode 14.
Yeah, we need to have a guest. We need to talk about some stuff.
Because, like he said, it's the whole point of socialism is, or one of the points I should say, not the only point, is understanding the issues facing people in your community. And
yeah,
you need to talk to them to understand.
I guess I'll do like a small leak, and if anybody knows anybody, I'm trying to get in touch with the Ventura Tenants Union to come on and do a I guess like a sermon type thing where they just come and like and talk about what they do. So if anybody knows
anything would be cool, honestly.
Fuck yeah.
Even if you're just sitting there watching and maybe your family's going through hard times or something, or anything you think you want to talk about on the show, just hit us up. We're always open.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's everything for today. I really appreciate you guys all coming to watch. I think we peaked at like 16 or 17 or something, which was super fucking sweet.
Yeah.
We're here every single Wednesday and Sunday at 10:30 p.m. And if we're ever not, that's because somebody got abducted by the cartel. And you can keep up to date with that on our Twitter, which is @SpoopPodcast, and our Instagram, which is @SpoopPodcast. If you missed part of the show, you can go to the beginning of the Twitch VOD in the videos tab in Twitch, or you can wait until tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. and we will have the full VOD uploaded on our YouTube, which is Spoop Podcast. And Michael, go ahead and put a link in the chat right now. If you're watching on mobile, just turn your screen vertical, and chat will pop up, and then you can click that link. It's spooppodcast.contactin.bio. And yeah. Just go fuck with everything, follow everything, follow this Twitch channel. It's where we do all the live shows. If you want to support us further, you can subscribe either with the $4.99 subscription through Twitch, or a free Twitch Prime sub by connecting your Amazon account to your Twitch. Thank you guys all so much for watching. We really appreciate you guys. As I say every episode, and I really try to stress it, we absolutely need international worker solidarity, and we, all the workers all over the world need to unite. Like, it's very important that we, being socialist, it's very important that we build an internationalist movement, because like, yeah, we were just talking about the whole show is, until we're all free, nobody's free. While there's a lower class, I'm in it, Eugene Debs. It's it's important that we never stop fighting until, the last person is accounted for. And yeah, we really
till the last slave is freed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wherever there is injustice, I don't remember that one. I shouldn't have started it if I didn't remember the whole thing. It's an MLK one, right?
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. Fuck you. No,
it's something along the lines of like, injustice anywhere like is injustice to me.
Hashtag
right? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's, how can you put that any better? Like
Martin Luther Shang.
Damn it! Why was it that the show did?
It's only a matter of time before I get a letter from the FBI telling me to kill myself, and
kill yourself.
They'll tell me all the dirty things I've ever done.
Don't worry, Carlos. They'll build after they kill you, they'll build a statue of you outside.
And don't worry,
And
they'll
then
also
tweet about your.
I don't care about a
anniversary.
damn statue.
They'll
I
also
care
say
about the
you fuck-
people.
They'll also say you fucked prostitutes, which is cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't that Gavin McInnes?
Yeah,
Too,
we're gonna get mad fucking. You're gonna get mad clout. You're gonna be the guy that fucked, which is cool.
People be saying I did all kinds of crazy shit that I've just never done.
Yeah.
They caught Shang in a Motel 6 with 7 strippers, 3 of them male. Having
4
an orgy.
kilos.
4 kilos of
He shot a crackhead 9 times
with a Tech 9.
Shout out Freddie Gibbs, man.
Yeah, shout out Freddie Gibbs. Come on the show. But yeah, So anyway, that's enough.
If
spook.
I can die, so socialism
Ian did his
amongst
outro,
the
so we're
people,
good.
the power can be restored to the people, then I'll happily die.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Fuck yeah.
Everybody have a great night. We'll be back on Sunday,
yeah.
10:30 p.m. We love you guys. Spook.
Appreciate everybody.
Appreciate you.
Much love. Spook.